Thank you. We have a quorum tonight. We have 6 members present with Director McKenzie in virtual Zoom. I'm always trying to think of Zoom or Teams. It doesn't matter. Virtual this evening so we can hear and see everything that's going on. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. He got you. Director McKenzie makes the motion. Do we have a second? All right. Vice Chair Curl makes a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. All right, Bob. Bob's there. He's with us. All right, we're going to go ahead and move into presentations, awards, and announcements. We have Republic Services here this evening. If you would please approach the podium. And then the microphone has a little button, and when the light is green, that means we can hear you. And if you'd speak right into it, please.
It's green. There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there it is. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. I don't think I've met most of you guys. So my name is Melissa Kruger. I'm the municipal manager for Republic Services. So I'm going to do this little sustainability and action presentation for you guys. So let me see if this is going to work. Where do I point it? Here. Okay. Okay, I started with this, but who am I? Again, my title is the municipal manager, so I handle the contract between Republic Services and the, Anthem. So I describe it a little bit as local government and community relations, make sure that we're following the contract. If Stephen reaches out to me for any reason, or if there's an oil spill, anything like that comes to me, I make sure that we're getting out here in the time frame that we're supposed to be getting out here. Or anything that rolls up, it'll come to me, and I will make sure it gets taken care of. Let's see. Republic Services from a national footprint, just wanted to give you a little bit of that information, who we are nationally. We have 13 million customers, 16 billion in revenue, 5 million in pickups every single day, 18,000 trucks you can see there. We're at 94% in customer retention. 5.1 million people impacted by our community investments. And then down below you'll see some of our climate leadership. We have 79 renewable energy projects. I feel like this is a little loud. Is it a little loud? Okay. 15% GHG emissions reduction since 2017. We have 80 EV collection vehicles. You guys have probably seen a couple of them here in Anthem. And I've been on route with our drivers here in Anthem as well. And we have 20% powered by RNG. 42,000 employees nationally. 86 employee engagement scores, so we regularly are surveying our employees. And 5,000 veterans hired since 2021. So that's a national footprint. A little bit more nationally, we have 71 recycling centers, 19 organics facilities. Obviously, we don't see that here in Arizona yet. 6 million tons of recycling and organics processed. $54 million invested into recycling infrastructure. And then here in Arizona, we have 2 recycling centers. One is on the Salt River Pima Indian Reservation. That's where your recycling material goes. And one down in Tucson. I'm not sure if any of you guys took a tour of the recycling center at any point in time. Yes, I just was there yesterday. You're welcome to come there if you guys ever want to see it. We try to stay out of there in the summer months, so it's hot. What do we process at our recycling center? Cardboard, paper, plastics, metal, glass. Not organics here, but in other states. And electronics, not at our recycling center, but we do obviously have the electronics event here that we have in Anthem. This talks a little bit about the advanced technology we have. Ours is a state-of-the-art facility up there at the Salt River Pima. There's AI technology in our facilities, so it can. We've got a robot that sorts. It's pretty cool. Anyway, let's see. Next. Oop. Okay. This kind of tells you a little bit more about what we do, because people think it's just trash, and there's actually a lot more that we do A lot of it is in other states because we do disaster relief. We have 24-hour emergency response. We don't really have natural disasters here, luckily, right? That's probably why most of us live here. So anyway, you can see sort of our recycling and waste solutions on the left-hand side there. Recycling, waste, electronics recycling, bulb and battery recycling, medical waste, and special waste. And then the environmental solutions, part of the field services that I was talking about. Industrial services, we have the 24-hour emergency response. We were on site at the Baltimore Bridge collapse, or when the ship ran into the bridge, Republic Services was there. Again, we don't see that much here, but we do have emergency response. There's a lot more that we do than just trash. And then, let's see, innovative solutions. We have a polymer center I'm going to talk a little bit about. That's plastics circularity. Obviously, we have the electric fleet, the renewable energy projects, and the smarter sorting is like we've got the AI technology and things like that at our recycling centers. Let's see. What are we doing here in Anthem? A little bit about that. Just gave you some numbers if you wanted to know how much trash you had in 2025. 7,000 tons of MSW, which is trash. We had 2,089 recycling tons. Our resident service weekly, 8488. We have our bulk zone pickups on Fridays. We do an annual pamphlet every year in the beginning of the year that we're hoping to go to digital in 2027. I was just at the Anthem days recently, and I talked to people about the pamphlet, and everyone looks at me like deer in the headlights, so I'm not sure if they think it's junk mail, but it provides all the information about when we're going to be here, dates, Christmas tree pickups, everything going on, and not sure how many people see it, so maybe electronic is the way to go. Raise your hand if you've seen it. Cool. Okay, great. Some people get it. I just included bulk zone maps, where we are and what day, or the zones, just so you had it there, a little bit of that. This tells you a little bit about what we did in 2025. We do this spring and fall Go Green event, and the vendors that we have there, we have Clean Harbors for hazardous waste, Pro Shred for paper shredding, St. Vincent de Paul for clothing and non-perishable food, lighting resources for bulbs, battery recycling, West Tech recyclers for your electronics, appliances, cell phones. We are also there for your cardboard, your bulk, your glass, and our operations team comes out and helps run this event. We've got one coming up next weekend, actually. Actually, no, weekend after next. Next weekend's the Touch a Truck. Sponsorships, we sponsor Anthem Days, Autumn Fest, Winter in the Park, Touch a Truck. We also provide dumpsters for all of these events. So Isabel or someone from the team, Bria, reaches out and we get those set up for you guys. Independence Day and the Christmas tree drop up. And I had some pictures of me there at some of the events. I think that was the Christmas tree down there. Fall festival up there, and the first truck, Touch a Truck, that's our operations manager and one of our drivers that came out with us. This is a little video on Go Green. See if I can hit the, is there a way to, hold on. Okay, I know you guys can kick me out if I go too long, but hopefully some of you guys have gone to that in the past. It's a great event to get everything. Oops, see, there we go. This is the next slide that talks a little bit about the recycling center. I covered a little bit before of what we process at a recycling center that is down, actually both of them in Arizona. So the one on the Salt River Pima is the 51,000 square foot facility. We serve 1.4 million residents through that facility. We have 5 optical sorters. Like I told you, we have an AI tool also that helps as things come through the line and it's sorted just to make sure we don't miss anything. And let's see, 40 tons per hour is what we process and 5 million tons annually. Switching this the wrong way. Okay, I have another video, but if you guys are, do I have, cut me off at 10 minutes?
You can keep going.
This is a video of the recycling center, I believe. So let's see if this one will play. I'm almost done. I can skip the last video. And I don't think I can skip the ad. So give me 1 second on the ad. I don't think it's going to skip or play. We'll see. It said you were almost out of time anyway, so. This is the ad. This is not us. Okay.
I was actually interested in that commercial.
You were? Okay. We can skip that. Really quickly, advancing plastic circularity. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of what we're doing with plastics. The only company in North America that is advancing plastic circularity. So a quick overview of this picture here. We pick up your plastic water bottle, your laundry detergent bottle at the house. It goes obviously to the truck. The truck takes it to our recycling center. It gets sorted at our recycling center. Then it actually gets baled into a big square of plastic. We truck it up to Las Vegas where they actually wash it and clean it and break it down, and we have people buying that PET material from us like Coca-Cola, and we're actually building a facility out in Buckeye, one of I think 3 in the nation. It's called Blue Polymer, and it's going to be that final circle of the plastic. So your plastic water bottle, for example, will have the potential to have 7 life cycles, and we're the only company that's doing that. So this is a little bit about the Polymer Center. I was going to show you a video, but it doesn't seem like they want to play. So that's a little bit of what we're doing. It's very exciting to have a facility here in Buckeye, so I'm hoping that if anyone's interested, we can get some tours once that facility opens up. And I think that was a video of it, but I don't know if it's going to play. That shows you how we clean the plastics and get it ready to be purchased or reused. And that might be it, unless it plays. Are you interested in seeing this?
Yeah, let's continue, please.
What'd you think? That's it. Any questions? I forgot to introduce Sadiq, my general manager there. I think some of you have met him, but he's here. But that's it. That's all I have for you right now. Sorry I went over time. Do you have any questions? Or?
Do we have any questions from the board?
Okay.
No? Do we have any questions from staff or anything?
Okay.
I actually have some questions for you.
Okay.
So this
I
actually
can answer them.
is very interesting to me. I'm curious a little bit more about, so you signed a contract with Anthem for the trash that's here. How often does that bid up? I don't really have a lot of insight on how that process works. Sadiq's looks like he's coming up to answer some questions for you here. So I'll kind of give you like multiple tiers of the question here. So I'm just curious, like how Republic acquires certain contracts in the area, assuming your targets are outside of incorporated cities that offer waste services.
So Melissa does a lot of the legwork for us to kind of speaking to the mic. Got it. Hi everyone, Sadiq Young with the North Phoenix business unit. So to answer your question, we have partnerships across the valley where in some cases there are cities that haul their own trash. And they may look to us to partner and say, hey, we want to get out of that business, and we'll help them sort of transition to privatized waste hauling. And then we have partnerships like we have here in Anthem where Melissa partners and fosters the relationship so that we can provide the service for curbside collection to go through some of the processes we named here. In terms of the contracts and when they're up, I believe we have one more year of an extension on this agreement. It just goes through the sort of life cycle and term of that agreement, and then hopefully we'll look to renew with you all after that as well.
Awesome. So how obviously we know about Waste Management, your competitor, right?
Sure.
How do you differentiate yourself from Waste Management when you go into a community like Anthem?
Yeah. I mean, there are a number of factors, right? One of the things that we focus on primarily is the drivers and the people. If you think about our safety record, we have, in my business unit alone, we have a zero safety frequency, which means we had no major incidents this year, and the same goes for last year. And so we pride ourselves on being safe, not just for our drivers, but for the people in the community. We also pride ourselves on being stewards of the community, as Melissa laid out with our polymer center. And what we do with your trash is more than just curbside pickup and putting it in the ground in the landfill, right? We really want to make sure that we're focusing on sustainability.
That's great. And then just one last question with regard to the polymer and the plastic that you process. At one point in time, we had, 8 years ago, someone from Republic come and present on trash and the processing of recycling. At the time, the cost of the raw materials brand new was cheaper than the cost of the recycled goods. Is that still where it's at, or have recycled goods, just with pricing of everything right now, is the cost of raw materials now more expensive than it would be to recycle materials?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I had a similar conversation earlier today with another city we partner with, and really the markets fluctuate on recycling. Like right now, we're looking at a really tough market as it relates to PET, and that's been the case. PET is your water bottles that you have on your desk there. That's been the case for maybe the last 6 months. But what we're seeing now is our flakes that we're producing, there's a select few of partners that are willing to use that flake and combine it with their own material to make new bottles. But then there are some other partners that have a little bit of a risk aversion to going with our flake material versus virgin resin, as it's called. So we fluctuate with the market and try to stay ahead of it. But we see that happen with bottles. We see it happen with mixed paper and cardboard as well. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. So basically, these pieces coming to you asking for recycled material, they're not necessarily doing it because it's going to increase their overhead or reduce that. They're just doing it maybe just to be sustainable.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Coca-Cola, as mentioned, they have sustainability goals. We have sustainability goals that are strict for the year 2030 that we're trying to achieve. And Coca-Cola has similar expectations of their organization, so we partner to help them reach their goals as we're reaching ours as well.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Any other questions? Great. Well, thank you. Thank you both. Really appreciate you coming in today. I love informative presentations like that. I always feel like you get something new every time. That being said, we'll turn over to staff reports and financials. Start with Executive Director Aaron Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate the opportunity. We want to start with some announcements here. If you didn't know already, election results are in. Michelle Gillick will be joining the board as the Parkside representative, and Barb Patterson was reelected to another 3-year term for Country Club. So, yep, there you are. Congratulations. Ms. Jillick will start next month, will be her first meeting. So congratulations to them and to our winners. So next slide. Brenda Hardy has joined the Country Club as their community manager. So we are happy to have her on board. She is in the office and working hard. So appreciate that partnership that continues to build with Country Club. Next slide. I wanted to update folks on the library. We don't have any say in the library, but want folks to be aware of what's going on with the library as they update us. They are currently doing demolition right now, and they're supposed to be advertising a procurement for construction services there. Demolition should be completed in April. Bids will be in April, and then they'll start construction mobilization in May with a February 2027 substantial completion date. So we'll see how that goes. Next slide. Here are some renderings of what they are planning on doing on the inside there. So beautiful building there for our community to enjoy. And it will be open during all hours, not just non-school hours. So I think that's what people are most excited about there. Next slide. Wanted to let folks know MCS is now tracking motorized bikes and number of incidents associated with that because people want to know about e-bikes and what's going on. So MCSO tracks that. They provide us a monthly report about activity in the community. 16 as of January and 8 in February. 8 incidents that they responded to on that. So just so folks are aware of that. They also have a juvenile disturbance category, but it's not clear whether or not those involve e-bikes or not, so I didn't include that stat. So next slide, please. Anthem Neighborhood Watch is still looking for leadership there. They do not have a chair or vice chair right now. So if you are interested, we are strongly encouraging anyone who would like to participate in any way to get a hold of us so that that good service can continue for our community there. And then just as an FYI, we are streaming our meetings, so that's why we ask people to speak into the microphone when they come up. People in YouTube land can't hear you if you don't speak into the microphone, so thank you for doing that. On business services side, right now there are 15 architecture review applications in process. We have 4 open violations related to property conditions, and we're continuing our efforts to scan all the paper files and digital files and get them into our file management system. Up to this point, they've been on various network drives and in paper folders and filing cabinets. So grateful to see that going forward there. So that's an update on business services there. With that, then I will pass the torch to Ms. Morgan, who's filling in for Tanya Dahl this evening.
Thank you. So for human resources, the current headcount is 128 employees, 74 of them part-time, 54 of them full-time. A couple open positions we have is a maintenance tech 1 and a part-time swim coach, along with a handful of seasonal positions. All of our positions are posted on the Anthem Council website. For HR projects, the performance reviews are officially complete, so thank you to the directors and managers for getting those done. To maintain accuracy and fairness, HR will be capturing the hours employees work at ACC events. This will provide both employees and managers with consistent and accurate records for the year. As the temperatures rise, so do our training calendars. So we are ramping up some fun yearly trainings. And then for employee recognition, our construction team from Parks and Facilities is the All Hands March winner for providing friendly and quality service. These young men were out working on residents' walls, face-to-face with the residents, and handled it with professionalism, respect, and ownership from start to finish. They are the why to our MCA. We love seeing people grow. In the first quarter of 2026, we had some well-deserved promotions to celebrate. Jennifer Brock in finance stepped into her new role as the accounting manager. Hilario Fuentes made a leap from part-time park patrol to full-time aquatics tech, and Justin Hertz leveled up from maintenance tech 1 to maintenance tech 2. So congrats to all three. And since we are in Arizona, we have to talk about baseball. And what better way to kick off the first quarter stretch than Morale Committee surprising staff with fresh bagels? That is all I have. I'll pass it to Scott.
All right. I was looking at all those awesome pictures. Steve was looking good. All right. So we had a couple what I like to call life in abundance weekends. If you weren't out in the community the last couple weekends, you really missed out. In addition to Steve's events 2 weeks ago, we also hosted a successful triathlon, the Try for the Cure. And we managed to have both those events with no issues. And then this past weekend, there was a car show on Saturday, and we hosted a 3-day baseball tournament, which was our first time utilizing all 7 fields for 3 days for a tournament like that, and it went great. We had some help from Mike's team, and then the sports and fitness crew got a little on-the-job training and learned how to do fields. So that's one of those work together for the collective good and benefit of Anthem moments. We currently have all of our summer programs available for online registration, including camp, swim team, all the good stuff. Our spring group lessons and spring rec team are actually running, and then we have a new session starting next week. I want to give a shout out to the Dolphins. If you see the trophy there, they actually finished 3rd place in the senior Western Zone meet. So our little Anthem team, out of 72 teams, finished 3rd place for the whole Western Zone. So it's a big deal, and we're only going up from here. Sign up before it's too late. We still have a couple lifeguard classes and research, but they're filling up. We're looking like we're going to be fully staffed for summer, but it's never too late to get in those trainings. There's one more class in April and then some research through May. Some of the other programs out of the pool include our dive team, private swim lessons, private coaching, our water aerobics. We just wrapped up the triathlon training. We'll do that course again after summer, and then our adult swim team. And we're hosting an adult swim meet this Saturday. It's for a couple hours. So if you would like to see old dudes in Speedos, come on out. The sports and fitness, our spring rec soccer, the games are actually starting this Sunday. They're off and running. They're also sometimes walking, but all of those kids are ready for snack time. The spring rec volleyball practices started tonight, and those are going for the next couple months, but you can still get in. Since we haven't started games yet, we will still take league registration. Adult softball is full and running, and we are starting our adult volleyball. That'll be coming up in May. And then we're still, I say this every month we're adding new and changing the fitness classes. So if you haven't been in a while, check out the calendar. There's a lot of good new classes that we're really trying to see what the community wants. And if you have any input, if you're like, I really want a spin class or more Zumba, let us know, because we are trying to get that going. Some of the other things in that world are our sports clinics, obviously all the group fitness, personal training, team strength training. We have a cardio pickleball, cardio tennis, regular tennis and pickleball groups, private lessons, just a lot going on there. A couple updates on some of the new things we've been doing. We had 82 parking passes sold. At this point, I think we're going to probably be done unless there's some weird, late birthdays that just want to park for a month. But we were going to max out at 100, so we're pretty happy being over 80. And I obviously want to do a shout out to everyone that coordinated the carnival and moving kids around. We had no issues. And then for dog park memberships, we're up to 317. So we were at 300 just a couple weeks ago when I wrote this. So those are still filling up. It's never too late to get the dog park membership, especially since we've added some new fun things out at the dog park. And then finally, last month, I announced that we hired a new camp supervisor, or children's program supervisor. She successfully ran her first spring break camp this last week. We had over 30 kids in that. It really felt like summer with all the hot weather and kids running around. For the summer camp, the theme is back in time. We're doing each each week will be a different decade. So that'll be fun. I'll get to wear lots of my cool clothes from the 80s and 90s. And then other programs include dance, art, chess, music. We have a tutoring class and more that are all running right now in our building and in this building. So with all that, I will turn it over to Mike Krask.
Thank you, Mr. Newell. Well, I don't have anything as exciting as Scott has shared, especially with the costumes and the other swimwear. In the facilities, the Parks and Facilities is excited to welcome the new building system supervisor, Scott DeLuey. He started 3 weeks ago. He's doing great learning the buildings and the systems, and he started repairing stuff and working on the program. We've completed repairs to the fire duct control actuators for the community center HVAC. This is all part of a larger focus on the HVAC for that and the other buildings before the summer gets here, if it hasn't already. We've completed the civic building elevator. We've had that serviced, and we're upgrading the electronics a little bit. They're very old. We've repaired the civic building maglock, and the ADA door controls were supposed to be finished. They're not quite. They're in progress right now. For landscaping, we've completed the modifications in front of the community center, and it looks very nice. We just approved the landscape modifications for the water park and pool area behind the building. So we're going to get that done and completed before the pool, the water park opens. Phase 1 of the 2026 arborist activities throughout all of Anthem is completed. Arborist activities for Paseo are supposed to begin on April 6th. They were reported as completed, but they are not. We have completed all the 2026 buffer zone clearance behind the homes and the pre-emergent for Country Club. That is done. The buffer zone areas for Parkside is in progress. We've completed a lot of landscape refreshes for assorted ACC locations at the Entry Falls, Liberty Bell Tunnel, and et cetera. We've completed a backflow replacement over at Opportunity Way Park that was causing a pretty bad leak. Aeration for all summer turf has been completed, and you can already see the Bermuda popping back, especially on the soccer fields, which are looking green already, which is always a concern in the spring. The 2025 poly to PVC repairs for Daisy Mountain, we're still having a wait on the county for a permit approval to do direct boring for about 10 meters underground. So that's simply a permitting issue. The poly to PVC program for 2026, that segment is in design and review, as is the granite refresh. Travis is working on that even as we speak. We have successfully completed Anthem Days, the Concourse Car Show, and Anthem's Market in the Park. We're just gearing up for the spring tsunami of special events every single weekend. For the next several months, we are going to have markets in the parks, Touch a Truck, Go Green, Music in May, all on top of our regular activities. So we're going to be hustling, and it's going to be life in abundance for sure. The asphalt project has been completed in the main park. So that's both of our major parking areas have been fully resurfaced or replaced. So that's done. We completed the sports lighting repairs throughout all of the ball fields, soccer fields, and that's in preparation for all the games and the activities that Scott and his team are sponsoring. We're also repairing some of these sports fields like the softball and Little League fields. We're redoing the foul lines and the grass edging and getting those dialed in, so we've been working on that. In the construction division, the Reserve 2026 block wall painting for Country Club is completed at 100%, and we're 50% of the way through the iron painting for 2026. We are scheduling the 2026 mailbox replacements throughout the ACC for select locations based on the status of the boxes themselves. Walking trail corrections, we're working on getting those finished before the summer heat strikes, so everybody can walk out there or not in the heat, but we don't like having the guys out there working in the field when it's 110. We've got 14 out of 19 wall repairs completed, and we have 5 more that we're still working on for right now. So we're definitely on schedule with those. For the capital projects update, the Anthem Dog Park modifications have been fully completed. So if you haven't been out to the dog park, go out there and take a look. All the shade trees, the windscreens, the sunscreens, the benches, it's all been installed. Looks great. Thank you, Kevin. I am also excited, or in this case relieved, that the locker room remodel has been completed fully. Looks great. And again, thank you, Kevin, and Scott, also to your team for putting up with the construction and the mess over there for such an extended time. We have the ERV replacements for that locker room. They're in fabrication. They should be delivered to the vendor here shortly, and that vendor is expected to begin the crane lift and the construction on or about April 15th, thereabouts. And with that, I'm going to turn the report over to Dee Nortman with Finance. It's to you.
All right, thank you. I'm going to review the financial information and hit the highlights year to date through February. So here's a summarized view of the statement of revenue and expense, and this is for the month of February and then year to date through February, over to the right. Taking a look down at the bottom line, we can see that the operating net loss for the year is about $24,000, which is $34,000 favorable to budget. So a little bit better than we thought we would be, having a good start to the year. You can also see that now depreciation expense has moved down below operations into the property fund. Hopefully that makes it a little easier to see the true picture of operations. If we take a look at some of the variances to budget up in revenue, we are about $22,000 below budget year to date. That's out of $2.4 million. The primary driver here, is enhancement fees, which are about $16,000 unfavorable to budget. This is likely due to the seasonal cycle of home sales and will probably increase in the coming months. Moving down to the expense section, we have about $56,000 in savings, and this is from a few different areas. Personnel expense at $79,000. This is due to open and transitioning positions in the first couple months. Administrative costs are $9,000 favorable to budget, and this is due to savings in legal fees so far this year, so that's nice. We have savings in community programming and facilities year to date. This may just be due to timing of expenditures. It's very early in the year. And in other fees, we have a little problem calculation that we need to analyze for March, which is causing a $64,000 negative variance. But all in all, we have a favorable variance to budget through February in operations. And then down below operations, you can see all the other funds, the net income or loss for reserve, enhancement, and now the property fund is down there. On a consolidated basis, ACC has a net loss for the year of about $694,000. $212,000 of that is depreciation, and that will just grow every month as a paper loss. And Reserve had some early expenditures this year for parking lot work, both in the park and the community center, so that may smooth out as well. The next report is the balance sheet as of February 28th, and the year-over-year changes as compared to last year end. And with this view, it appears that both sides have increased up by about $1.6 million. And you may remember from prior reports that there's those interfund transfers that we have on both sides, which are just internal funds that owe each other, either reserved operating or enhancement, and they sit there until the end of the year where we settle up. So we can look at another view with those amounts removed to get a little bit better picture. So now you can see down at the bottom, it's a much smaller shift, a decrease of $148,000 on both sides, and that's really the true change in this report. Oh no, go back, sorry. Yep. Thank you. On the asset side, this comes from a decrease in cash up at the top. Down at the bottom, there's a recognition of the depreciation expense. And the items in the middle are just due to timing for receivable amounts owed to ACC. And over on the liability and equity section, this same bottom line change comes from that consolidated net loss figure we just saw over on the income statement. And then up top, those are timing amounts that we owe others, accounts payable, liabilities, and prepaid assessments. So ACC's in good shape the first couple months of 2026. Next month is a quarter end, and we'll be looking at reserve projects, enhancement projects, as well as property resale figures. Are there any questions?
No, thank you.
All right, for special events and communications, I first want to start off with this Saturday morning. We are having a memorial service in the park adjacent to the Anthem Veterans Memorial for Anthem resident and one of the first board members of Anthem, Major General Prentice. His memorial service will be starting at 9 a.m. Saturday morning. That is open to the public, and everybody is welcome to attend. Next on the agenda is the Anthem Touch-A-Truck, which is coming up on April 4th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It'll feature vehicles from all over the valley and locally based companies as well. Once again, this is also a free event for children, and we will also have activities that are free for the children as well for that. Our next event is Go Green on Saturday, April 11th from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Please be in line by 10:30 and make sure you have your proof of residency with you as well. Music in May coming up every Friday in May. This is another year of 5 Fridays in May. The 1st, 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th. For a full lineup of the bands, please visit our website at anthemcouncil.com. The Jim Martin Scholarship the deadline is April 10th. It awards 2 $1,000 scholarships to high school students that live in Anthem. For additional information, please visit our website at anthemcouncil.com for additional details and questions. A special thanks to everybody who participated in Anthem Days. It was a major success. Thank you to all of our sponsors, vendors, and residents for coming out. The Sonoran Charity Concourse Car Show, as Scott alluded to earlier, was this past weekend for it benefited the Children's Phoenix Hospital. This was a huge success, and thank you for everybody that showed up, and especially thank you for everybody that came and took time out of their day and drove their vehicle up here for everybody to see it and enjoy it. The Anthem Way and Activities Guide is now relaunched, and it's online on our website at anthemcouncil.com. And then lastly, our Market in the Park is shortly coming up to an end for the summer months. We have 4 markets left this spring on April 12th and 26th, and May 17th and 31st. And then the market will resume again in October. And now I will turn it over to Chair Cotton.
Thank you, Steve. I was so enthralled in what you were saying that I didn't pull up the agenda again. Wonderful. With that, we will entertain a motion to, actually, well, first, let's see. Do we have any questions or comments from staff or from the board? Yes, Director Duckworth.
Scott, just a quick question on the dog park. You said we have 317. How does that compare to this time last year?
I don't know the specifics of where we were at in February or March, but we only had 385 total last year. So the fact that we had 17 more in the last couple of weeks, I would say it looks pretty good
I guess my question is, I know about a year ago, the trend was waning with attendance to the dog park. Is that changing? Do you see it increasing now, or is it same or worse?
I could answer your question by just looking at the variance from last year to this year and let you know where we're at when we meet next month.
And one more question.
Yeah, please.
On the dog park, any feedback on the modifications?
Positive feedback, and they still want a bathroom.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Scott. That's funny. Okay, looking for a motion to accept the staff reports and financials. Do we have a motion? Bob,
I move
on
we
the mute
accept
button.
the staff reports and thank you guys for everything you do for us.
All right. Okay, Director Curl makes the motion. Director McKenzie seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, moving into committee updates and action items, and I'll turn it over to Treasurer Duckworth with an update from the Finance Committee.
The Finance Committee did meet yesterday and had a quorum. Nothing new to report, except just wanted to recognize Dee Norton and your wonderful job with the reformatting of the summary financial reports. They are much clearer and very helpful. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay. Any questions on the Finance Committee report? Okay, great. Go ahead and move to Executive Director Baker on the Anthem Business Support Committee. Oh, okay. Dave, go ahead and with that one as well.
Okay, yeah, so we met, our second meeting was about 3 weeks ago, and we're going to meet again tomorrow. We're off to a pretty raucous start, I must say. There's a lot of enthusiasm from the committee membership. One of the recommendations we will discuss in detail in a bit, which is a recommendation for a new, more business-friendly signage policy. One of the other recommendations of many very good ideas was an update to the business webpage, which Steve actually already did for us, and we're going to continue to see what we can do to enhance that, but that is now much more business-friendly, and so we're going to review that tomorrow and then see what we can do to advertise it and let people know that it's new and improved. And I just wanted to give a thank you to Steve and your staff for the Anthem Days. That was awesome. And the business members of the committee who were there, I chatted with every one of them, and they were just thrilled with the turnout and despite the hot day.
Any questions on the Anthem Business Support Committee? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the committee reports, please. Anybody?
I move to accept the committee reports
Okay.
presented.
Oh, all right. We'll give that to Director McKenzie since he was audible on there. Director Patterson makes the motion. Director McKenzie seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right. That being said, we're going to turn it over to new business. Actually, I'm sorry, old business. And it's going to be Liberty Bell Facilities Master Plan. Kevin Foster, take it away.
Thank you. So good evening, board. At the January meeting, we reviewed improvement options for Liberty Bell Park, and the board asked staff to bring back additional information. Staff since has evaluated the working group recommendations along with additional design and materials suggestions, while only 3 items totaling $258,000 require formal board approval. Staff recommends approving all proposed improvements as a single project. The total cost for reserve and enhancement funded items is $347,000 because of potential fluctuations in labor and material costs. 30% contingency is recommended, bringing the total not to exceed amount to $450,000. Some work can begin immediately, while other portions will be scheduled after summer to avoid disrupting splash pad use. And I'd like to walk through each area and just kind of dive into what we're proposing. So this is an overview of all the areas that we're going to kind of talk about. Let's start with area number 1, adding a rentable ramada with benches, remove grass and add artificial turf, add shade canopy and 2 benches.
Kevin, we're going to go through area by area, and then we'll ask questions, do some Q&A on each area. Does that sound good?
Perfect.
Okay. Okay, great. So let's start with area 1, and then we'll kick it over for questions, unless you're ready to go now.
Ready to go.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on area 1 here? Mark, go ahead.
So I just want to confirm that with Area 1, that part of that, or the 2/3 of it currently is rock, and about 1/3 of it is living grass, live grass that might or might not be alive.
Correct. No. Any other questions?
Yes, Dave?
Just to clarify, you're recommending the artificial turf. How much of where the artificial turf would go is existing grass, and how much of that is irrigated currently?
All that grass area is currently irrigated, but it really is only about like a quarter of it that is already existing grass. We're going to take over a good portion of the rock area, and that's kind of just to make it a usable area because right now they can't really do anything with that rock.
Are you going to remove that concrete boundary?
Yes.
You are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Mark?
I just have a comment.
Barb?
Oh, sorry, Mark.
Oh, go ahead. Barb, go ahead.
I thought he said
It's okay. Go ahead.
Mark. Arf, arf, arf.
Bark too. I said Bark and Barb. Go ahead.
I was just going to make a comment that one of the things that was requested was to have areas where people can watch their children. And so this is one of the areas that would pertain to, with a shade canopy and benches underneath. And because I think they fight over the 2 or 3 benches that are already there. So otherwise, this area is just unusable. It's just dirt and nobody can sit on it. And rather than have a little bit of grassy area and the other part, we just thought, let's just do all of it with the turf, with the artificial turf.
Mark, go ahead.
I just want to confirm too that the smaller trees that were in there, we're gonna
Relocate.
transplant them somewhere else.
Sir.
The other question, are these actual numbers or just estimated numbers?
So the Ramada, we had a rough order of magnitude estimate from a contractor. The grass and shade canopy and benches was all pulled from previous projects. So estimates, but rough order of magnitude.
So scale might be hard to tell in that picture, but could you estimate how big you think that shade structure is?
It was
The 10-foot, 12-foot umbrella? What are you thinking it might be?
15 feet, I believe.
I won't hold you to it. I'm just.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look. I can get you a better answer.
Any other questions? Got a question for you. So last meeting I expressed that I didn't want any AstroTurf on there. Did you provide a price? Did you price out what it would cost to put grass there, and also like how much it costs to water that?
No, we did not get those prices.
You didn't get those prices?
No, and I heard your comment from last time. If we were going to shade that area, we can't have the grass over there because it would die with the shade, but the AstroTurf would still be okay.
So in the major park, is the grass dead under all of the trees throughout the park?
If the chair pleases, yes, it is. If you go to the clock tower up in the park near the train Ramada, you will note that the grass underneath those trees is all dead. It's dirt and mud. we've actually did a pilot program several years ago with AstroTurf because it is shaded and we couldn't get grass to grow consistently. So that's why we didn't price out putting grass underneath these shade canopies, because it would do the same thing.
Hmm. Thank you. Mark?
So I agree with Dino, meaning I'm not really a fan of it either. But I walked this area, and it's hard to tell scale from this picture, but the aerial view in the lower right corner of this presentation shows several large green, those are pretty large trees. They're very tall. And when you're walking that area, this shows there's a lot of sunlight right there in this picture, but there was not a lot of sunlight in that corner due to those trees shading. So again, it's a little hard to tell from this picture because I'm sure it's a Google map, but there's not much light in that corner. And I think it would be horrible to trim back those trees or top them or remove them just for grass.
Okay. Dave?
So just so I'm clear, because I'm not a AstroTurf fan either. So what you're saying is because of the shade that grass is just not feasible, and to give the people a chance to sit and watch their kids, the only option would be artificial turf.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes, the recommended option would be the AstroTurf.
Okay. Mark?
Sorry.
Good. This is what we're here for.
The ground that's underneath the main park, that rubberized, kind of walk on it, it's cushy under your feet. How does that compare per square foot to turf if we wanted an alternative?
I have a little bit more experience in that, and the play-soft surface is incredibly expensive, both to install and to maintain, and it has a very volatile surface. It can be damaged easily, especially by vandalism and some other things like that.
Any other questions? No. Okay. All right. With that, we'll go to the area 2, please.
Okay. So area number 2, we're going to look at adding multiple park-style picnic tables, another shade canopy with benches underneath to utilize kind of an underused area, and remove grass and add artificial turf over there as well. Yes, sir.
Dave, go ahead.
Well, same question on the artificial turf and grass. Why not grass?
This area, if we would like to have the shade cover, it's not feasible to have real grass.
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead, Dave. Keep going. Yeah, please.
Right now, we're looking at 5, but depending on how they actually come priced out, we could get more, or how they fit in that area, because that is just a concept picture.
Anything else on that, Dave? No? Okay, Barb?
Just another comment. We're taking these spaces that aren't used now and trying to use them. And if you can imagine, and I'm not necessarily an artificial turf person either, although my dog has grown up with it, and so in our family we're okay with it. But if you look at any bare spots that might occur because of real grass, we've got water there, and then it gets muddy, and then it's a mess for the kids. So we're actually trying to make these spaces usable for kids, their parents, their grandparents, for their guardians. And so we have thought that if you have a canopy over benches, then they'll actually sit there and be able to use it more often. So that's kind of why I don't think any of us are real excited about artificial turf, but it just seems to make the most sense in this case.
If I could chime in here, I think it's important, excuse me, during this conversation to realize a little bit of context. In the main community park right now, in the playground area, we have artificial turf right now. Just because of the level of traffic that we get through there, the ability to maintain it. We use it right now, and it's used year round. It's not everyone's favorite. I've sat on and watched my kids play, and it's doable. As Kevin's worked through this, it's the best option that we could come up with within a reasonable budget. I mean, there are some really exotic things we could do, but are completely unreasonable from a budgetary perspective. So we've tried to put together something here, realize that this already is happening in our main community park right now. So it's not a new concept around a splash pad or around playground equipment. We currently have that right now. So just wanted to inject that.
I'm going to say something to that real quick. So when we did that, I was not a fan of it. So currently we've got a majority of the board does not want turf. Okay, so this is the Anthem Community Council, right? So the board doesn't want turf. So I just want that to be heard, right? We've all suggested that the board doesn't want turf. So I just want to throw that out there. We continue to put turf in places, and I get it on high traffic areas. I have the park where the playground is, and I get that. We sit on that often, and that's a needed area because it's very high traffic. I know that the splash pad does not have that. There's the turf area that's outside of the train park. That's a very high traffic area. I've been to other parks in my life, and generally grass grows under trees, but we can thin trees. Just giving my opinion on that. Mark, go ahead.
So I do want to say that in this case, I am a fan of turf. In general, if we were to just make a blanket statement to say change all the real grass in Anthem to turf, I would be 100% opposed to that. I'm saying because of the location and the current structures there that I think it would be even more expensive to remove things to make it better for real grass there. My other question that I have for you on this area is I noticed that and I'm going to go by what you said in Area 1, that you're using costs based on recent projects. This says remove grass and add artificial turf 7,500, and that's what you had in, I believe. But from what I'm remembering in the area, it's not nearly the same size as one. So is this just a placeholder in your, because I think if this one, it really is 7,500, the other one's going to be significantly more.
Definitely just a placeholder for rough order of magnitude.
Okay. So in this area right now is real grass with a very small area of rock. Are we considering removing any of this concrete, or the concrete stays in place and we're just removing the existing grass and landscape rock?
Yeah, I would keep the concrete in place.
Yes, Steve, go ahead.
And just to clarify, so your statement is correct, except I've heard the arguments, and given these specific situations, I would agree with the recommendations.
Okay. And I agree with the recommendations that turf is needed to remove that grass there. Okay. Any other comments from the board? No? Okay, we'll move to number 3, please.
So on area number 3, we're looking at tetherball and adding a man gate. And the man gate access from the parking lot, that was one of the comments from last board meeting, January. And we would definitely just use the existing RV maintenance gate that's there, modify it so we can have man gate and use it like that. Yes, Barb?
What's up with the man gate? Is it a term?
It's a technical term to define a gate that's useful for human beings as opposed to an equipment gate, which is the double gate that you can see in the central photo.
Thank you.
The person gate.
We could change it to people gate if you'd like.
All I want to say about this area is that I think it's a great idea that the Anthem residents who came to this, it was their suggestion. They made the point of, they have these 2, 3, 4-year-olds running around in the water, and the 8, 9, and 10-year-old sibling is with them because they can't be home alone, and they get bored with the splash pad. So the parents were like, what are some other things we could do? I think this is inexpensive, and I'm partial to the tetherball because I'm a 90s kid, so.
And I 100% agree. The suggestions for this was just to keep the park even more family friendly.
Any other questions from the board on this? I'm curious if anyone knows the history of why we never used that access gate in the first place. It seems like it made a lot more sense, but even 12, 13 years ago with my young kids, we'd always have to walk around to the bathrooms. It just was always an awkward way to get in. You know why that was never utilized?
No.
All right, well, we'll make and do. So what does the man gate look like? How does the man gate operate? Is it just like a normal man gate, or is it?
As of right now, it's just a normal open-close gate. We won't have a fob or anything like that on it. There isn't one at the regular gate that you go into. The other person gate.
So we'll still keep that other one near the restrooms then? So we'll have
Absolutely.
some access points. Cool.
Yeah. Modify it so we could still have both, or so we can have both.
Question.
Yes, Barb.
Another alternative for that is pedestrian gate.
Oh, that's great. That's great information. Thank you.
Perfect.
All right. Any other questions or comments on Area 3? All right.
Okay, so for Area 4, we would be adding some open cubbies for storage. I know that's been kind of a issue that they don't have any place to store their bag or set that down while their kids are playing, and then bring back a drinking fountain with a bottle filler.
That's great. Questions here on this one? Mark, go ahead.
So hopefully the open cubby is just a picture you found online. That's not
Oh,
the
yeah,
actual design you're.
Yeah, no, that's just,
We had talked about this there. We were worried about critters
yeah,
burrowing on the bottom, maybe even open shelving. So shelf, something like that, or this is going to be off the ground and never touch the ground.
yeah, in my mind, we would fabricate some type of steel mesh to make it work. But they would last a long time, a lot longer than an IKEA storage.
I love this idea. I think it's going to be much needed and much appreciated in that spot. So, Dave, go ahead.
So I just wanted to maybe hear the logic for both of these items. I'm just looking for ways to trim this high cost and thought this might be one. So I'd love to hear the logic.
Yeah, I'll speak to that. Well, the cubbies aren't very expensive, so I could probably donate that to everyone if you wanted. They don't have a drinking fountain in this area, and unfortunately, it's been vandalized before, and so there is some concern that it might happen again. However, we do have fountains in other parts, like at the pickleball courts, and nobody vandalizes that. But they have to literally go down to the store. This was comments from our committee. Down to the store to get some more bottled water that they would use at the park because their kids get thirstier than they thought. So this, of anything, is one thing that everybody wanted. And we're thinking of the bottle fillers so that they can bring their own and we don't have to add more to Republic Services.
And this particular design, I'm sure they could speak to it. They said that it has lasted in other areas of Anthem, and it doesn't typically get vandalized, this particular one they're putting here. And then the cubby deal, that was, again, the residents that showed up. I would have never thought of it. It's just they've spent a lot of time there, and they feel like their stuff just gets yard saled everywhere. It's out, and this would be an organized spot to put it.
Yeah, so for the drinking fountain, we have one in Dog Park that's been fine. That one's gated in. There's one at the skate park that hasn't been vandalized either. One by the volleyball court, and the latest one is pickleball.
That's great. I think a drinking fountain's a great idea. The only thing that I would make a comment on is you know, drinking out of a hot drinking fountain. That's south facing, right? So that the sun might be hitting that. If there's any option to put like some kind of shade, or I'm just trying to think of that ledge.
There's a chiller option for it as well.
Is there?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, Cody, go ahead.
With all of this, if we approve it, this is just maybe silly, but are you going to put more trash cans in the area too?
It's not on the current plan, but when you're adding more shade area and more kind of amenities like that,
It's like the rentable Ramada.
it
There's a birthday party. I probably
absolutely.
would throw it away. There's a couple.
Yes.
Is there, do you know the count on how many trash cans are there now, or you don't know? Okay.
Oh, there aren't enough.
There aren't? Okay.
I think there aren't any.
Really?
Thing.
Oh my
And
God.
so they did bring that up, the committee.
Under the Ramada and maybe near like the picnic table. I don't think we need one for each picnic table.
No, absolutely.
That's great feedback. Any other questions on area number 4? All right, let's go to number 5.
Okay. So for area number 5, we're looking at adding a shade canopy and benches by the sand pit. So if your kids are playing in that sand pit area, there's really nowhere to sit except for the picnic tables that are kind of far away. So if you're on that backside, we're looking at adding some artificial turf and shade structure, and then add more picnic tables in the concrete area because it looks like there's 2 spaces for it that are just completely missing. And then a large shade sail to cover the large playground structure and some of the sand pit. And we actually got a quote from AZ Shade on that for $48,500. We thought that was going to be significantly more expensive. But that is one of the items that we would like to pull the trigger on as soon as possible and get in permitting, engineering, and get that one moving. Yes.
That's great. Mark, go ahead.
So when we walked this area, we had determined that the bend in the sidewalk actually widens out there. I don't think we need to remove grass and put artificial grass there with bench. The bench can go on the concrete where the concrete currently is, and then the shade comes either up and over that onto the, the shade is installed behind the bench up and over towards that, and I think that would definitely cut a little bit of cost out, and you're just installing it over the current. Could you just look at that as an option before?
Absolutely.
Okay, I think there's plenty of space there to do that.
Great feedback.
The other thing in that area is that tree that was behind it. Are you going to address the 2 trees in that grassy area behind it?
Yes.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Barb, go ahead.
Yeah, so every time I've been over there with this committee or on my own a few times, there's an area kind of behind there that you see is grassy that the kids play in and run, and they really need another area for them, for the parents or guardians to sit. And that's why because it kind of looks like, well, why are we doing it there? That's not next to the splash pad. But all that grassy area there, it's sloped, so you can't really have like a soccer field, which we considered. But they're always running around there, and the guardians need a place to sit. And so that was why this was. And those shade covers are expensive, but they're beautiful and they work.
I agree. Cody, go ahead.
Where are the picnic tables? Are they in this photo somewhere? Are they in this concrete area that's kind of curved around here?
So in area number 5 in the right picture where the purple square is, they would be kind of in the bottom right corner.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, so there's already some existing ones there, but it almost looks like they almost got like taken out. It looks like there should be more there.
Bob, do you have any questions? Do you have any comments? You've been quiet tonight.
Bob, are you awake?
Question. Okay, great. All right, any other questions here on number 5?
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is all great stuff. All right, let's go to number 6 then.
All right, so number 6 is kind of piggybacked off the tetherball idea where we would add a small soccer goal. And we picked an area where the grass is flat enough for it and kind of almost has a catch behind it. So that was a suggestion of Anthem mom who has young kids that go to the splash pad and a kid that's a little bit older that's like, why am I here? So in hopes this would still make the park a little more family friendly.
What is behind the net? So if my kid's kicking at that net, what's it going into there?
So there's a little like kind of sloped gully area that the ball would go into, and then after that it is the sidewalk for the bridge.
Okay. There's no spiky plants or anything like that? No? Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, Dave?
Barb and Mark. So is there room for 7 picnic tables plus a ramada plus benches?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I encourage you to just go over and walk it.
I've been there. It just seems like a lot.
Yeah, no, it's amazing how each one of those spaces is really not usable now. And so it'd be good to have it usable. Yeah, there's room.
I also feel as soon as families know that there's more seating there, that you'll probably have larger groups there than currently are there, because people don't go. Probably, I'm thinking that they're not going or bringing their own seating because there's just not enough there. So I'm a fan of more is better in this situation.
And $8,000 is an estimate for a picnic table?
Yeah, just a placeholder, but yeah.
They're those round, those big, fairly substantial.
That's one picnic table is $8,000?
Not necessarily. More of just a placeholder for it, but we're just trying to get rough order of magnitude costs for kind of the whole budget of this project.
May I make a comment? I think, when we did the dog park modifications, I don't know, it was like 100,000. And then when it came down to it, we were under our number. Do you know the final number for dog park modifications?
I know that we were had $2,000 left over, so it was right around 50,000.
Yeah. So I think we're a little gun shy about giving numbers, given some of our projects. So I think the numbers are inflated, and I'm sure that the buying group will make sure that they're getting the best deal for some of those items. But that's kind of what happened with the modification at the dog park. It looked like a big number, but when we really honed it down and got next to installing it, the number came down. Would that be true?
Yes, that's true.
All right. Any other questions here on this one before we move on to the reserve painting? Mark?
I just want to point out in the bid, it does say benches and trash cans in the bid, just so you know, down a little lower from the from Hayden Construction.
Oh, good. Barb.
One last comment, that this is coming not from our budget, but from the facilities master plan. So I think in a way that makes a little difference. It's a project that we're lucky enough to have that money to be able to do things like this.
Cool. And Dave, I'll kind of add on to that. Barb and Mark saying, like, taking my children to that area, there is a significant amount of concrete space that's unused and unshaded. And, we would always go there for birthday parties and have to bring our own table and our own chairs because there was like 2. So it'll be this is a great project and a great addition to it. So, all right, last call. Any other questions on this one? Okay, cool. We'll move into the next one.
All right, so reserve items to be completed. Paint the metal roof of the restroom building, and then as you're walking into the restroom, the foyer floor, we'd paint that as well. Both items are definitely needed, and it would dress up kind of the whole space. Yeah, this is reserve.
This will be, yeah. Any questions on the reserve items? The painting here? Okay.
And then this is just each area kind of broken out line item and who would the responsibility fall to. A lot of it would be third-party contractor. There is some things that we can do in-house, and then the time frame. So for rentable Ramada, we'd like to start engineering now, and as soon as a lot of these items arrive, we'd like to get going, and as long as it doesn't interrupt any operation of the splash pad, we'd like to complete pieces as fast as we can. Any questions on this? And if there's any areas that the board would like to take out, this would be kind of how we would judge that cost.
Great. Barb, go ahead.
So after summer, I mean, do you have like a date in your mind about it? Is it October? Is it November? Is it January of next year?
Just once the splash pad closes for the summer.
Yes, I know, but after that, I guess I want a little bit more commitment about, well, it's not going to stretch into 2027. Do you think?
If I may, Kevin and I had spoken about that this afternoon in detail. A lot of these areas that do not involve the splash pad will not be thoroughly engaged throughout the summer, so those are the areas that we'll focus on. So immediately, if we can get access to the splash pad as soon as it closes, that's when we would do the construction for the Ramada. Most everything else can be put in while people are still using those areas, just by isolating them. Much like any construction project, we have to isolate that from the public, but they can still use the other segments that aren't adjacent to it.
Got a lot of comments tonight.
Oh, that's good. That's
I
why we're here.
understand that tonight we're making a decision on a big number, so that if something changes in any of these, some of these could be nixed. Let's say the price of picnic tables goes through the roof, then it would be reevaluated. So the only request tonight is saying up to a certain number, and then it will get kind of pieced together.
So the proposed motion right now is that you authorize us to go forward with a not to exceed, and then we would report back monthly. So if, for example, we come back and we say, hey, we went out and shopped picnic benches and they're on sale this week, that's not going to happen, I wish. But I'm just saying, report back, okay, this is how many picnic benches with the budget that we have we're able to get to match this. This is what's going on here. Keeping you updated on the construction timeline as well. But the proposed motion is for action this evening. So it's not, hey, we're going to come back and have you vote 3 more times on different things. It's go forth and do this. So if there are things that you would like to pull out or things you'd like to see changed, or even if you want to table this to the next meeting, that's all within your purview to do. I just want you to understand how it's agendized currently.
Mark?
Is there an ask for any type of contingency, or are we just asking for the dollar amount that we see here?
There's a 30% contingency we put in there. So we have the project price, the reserve, and then we have a 30% contingency we asked for, and we will report back on our expenditures every month so that you would see where we are, because goods right now in the world is, I don't know if you've noticed on gas, obviously I think we all have, and that drives all the other prices up. So these are prices with a rough order of magnitude, but I don't know where it's going to be in 3 months. I think kind of Strait of Hormuz has something to do with that right now.
So I'll kind of point everybody to the agenda, open session agenda sheet on page 3. There's a suggested motion. Above that, it references a 30% contingency, show $103,500. That'll put it to a do not exceed of $450,000 for the project. Staff has created a suggested motion, which is there, and then they also provided an alternative motion which we can alter and edit under it, and that one's like titled, I move to approve the installation of the improvements to the Liberty Bell FMP working group with the exception of the following items. So if there was an item that you wanted to omit from this, you could do the alternative motion and list that item for this. Okay? I'll remind everybody that I can, as chair, I cannot make a motion. So If I were to, I will tell you, I would try to do something without turf, but go ahead, Dave.
Well, you may have noticed I've been trying to figure out ways to cut costs on this thing. And unfortunately, you've sold me on every item that I've tried to object to.
Well,
So, so I, do we really need to look at that 30% increase? What I'd like to do at this point is create this is for discussion. Have someone create a motion that is up to the $347,000 mark without the 30% increase so that we could really scrutinize it on a month-by-month basis.
I have we don't want to keep coming back every month to, I think we should include the 30% because it's a one-time thing. They're going to try to do it for as cheap as they can, but they're covering themselves for that. And if we say 337,000, then they're just coming back to us piecemealing. So I move to approve the installation of the improvements from the Liberty Bell Park FMP.
Hold on, Barb. Hold on. We're not on the motion part yet.
Why not?
I didn't call for a motion.
I thought you did.
No, we're still in discussion.
Well, I thought the way the Roberts rules is that you make a motion, you get it second, and then you have fun.
Yeah, so when the chair says I'll call for a motion, so we're going to wrap up the comment and then you can make a motion here in a second.
So my only comment, Barb, is we keep hearing these are placeholders and that we believe that we're already estimating high. And so I just was trying to get to as close as we can.
If I may speak to the board, the recent asphalt project, we had a similar type of request where we had the ability to spend extra money. When that project finished out, we did not come anywhere near using that additional safety margin, but it did allow us to make decisions and move forward with alacrity. In this particular instance, with all these different moving parts and different vendors and things like that, if we are consistently going back to seek permission or to get more funds, the thought is that it may cost us even more. Something that we can buy today in 30 days is going to be more expensive, and it becomes recursive to where we'll constantly be coming back to the board. So that was why we actually discussed increasing this contingency amount as high as it is. It is contingency, and we won't use it, and we have always shopped around and tried to lower the price and cut costs and do things the right way. But this is one of those catch-22s where time is not your friend. So that's why we came up with this.
Thank you. Anything else, Dave? Okay. Anything else from the board? All right. Now I'll open it up to a motion. Go ahead, Barb.
Move to approve the installation of the improvements from the Liberty Bell Park FMP Working Group with a not to exceed of $450,000 for the total project cost, and direct staff to report back to the board monthly on the project's progress until completion.
Second.
Okay. Director Hartman has the second. Now we're going to move into a comment again. We had the presentation comment. We're going to go ahead and move to a comment on the motion at hand. Any comments now that the motion has been seconded? Questions?
I've heard the arguments and I agree.
Okay. Please, Aaron.
If I may ask one point of clarification, I heard some discussion around the artificial turf in Area 5. Is that if we can remove it, but it's in the budget? Is that
My request would be to not remove any grass from that Area 5.
okay, so
Well, this is the grass, do we want to go back to?
we can back up to that slide just so, because what I do want to do is get down the track and then we have I thought this meant this and I thought that meant that, so.
So in the lower left picture, they would have removed real grass to put in artificial grass with a bench and a shade structure there. My request is that that bench and shade structure be moved forward onto the sidewalk because it's much wider there, and put the shade structure from the back over it, not touching any real grass and not adding any artificial grass.
I guess my only comment would be is we can verify that if that complies with ADA, if the width of the sidewalk is appropriate or not. And if it's not, then we would keep it as is, as proposed.
All applicable laws.
Yeah, okay, okay.
I also have a comment on that. If possible, we could maybe look at a few different options, and if because I was thinking the ADA situation as well, if we could add a little concrete area just right there, yep, just a little concrete pad, and that cost isn't shown obviously, but just kind of a different option to help that situation.
So that would be a cost. Instead of the artificial turf right there, we would just do a concrete pad.
Yes.
So I think that was financially, that's a much less expensive option. I just want to make sure that I'm clear on that point since we made a motion as is, so.
And can I amend my motion? Well, because he's already introduced it and I was just going to help.
I don't think we need an amended motion for that. That's just a point of clarification. I think we can move forward with the motion at hand. Any other comments on this motion currently before we move to a vote? None? Okay. So we're going to go ahead and move to a vote on Barb's motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Motion passes unanimously.
May I say something? I just want to compliment Kevin and Mike and all the people involved there because this is not easy to portray unless you've walked it yourself a couple times. So you guys did a great job of bringing this whole information to us so we could understand it. So
And thank you for the residents who showed up. If you're
right, our
appreciate you showing
wonderful
up. Thank you.
committee.
Thank you, board, and thank you, Barb and Mark, for taking the time to help me with all this.
Awesome. We're going to go ahead and move to non-residential sign guidelines discussion. Turn it over to Executive Director Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Based on the Anthem Business Support Committee, they've had a lot of feedback in this area. We've also received feedback over the past year from local businesses regarding temporary signage as well. So we are tonight for discussion only proposing some different sign guidelines than what we currently have. Next slide, please. This is probably the best way to show this. It's important for residents to know and understand that we have overlapping jurisdictions. East of I-17 is Maricopa County, and west of I-17 is City of Phoenix, and they have very different sign standards, especially when it comes to temporary signage. So what we did is we aligned our temporary sign guidelines with those, and as you can see right here, certain types of signs are prohibited within the City of Phoenix. A-frames and flutter flags are not permissible. So we could say we can't tell someone yes for those within the City of Phoenix. For an A-frame or a flutter flag, it's City of Phoenix would have to change their guidelines there. Those are allowed within Maricopa County, and the big changes that are proposed here is that currently we do allow temporary signage. We're allowed for 30 days per year. This would go to 45 days at a time. So there's a 50% bump on that. And the other thing is the introduction of an A-frame year-round. Currently, what happens in the community, a lot of businesses take out their A-frame in the morning, they put it out outside of their building, and then they take it in at night. This would allow that to happen within our current side guidelines. Maricopa County allows that right now, and so we incorporated that into our guidelines. What I do want to distinguish, though, is if a business does participate in the year-round program, then they are not eligible to do any of the other types of temporary signage because that is their type of temporary signage. They're using it year-round there. So with that, happy to answer any questions that people may have regarding these proposed guidelines.
Mark?
How would we share this with businesses in Anthem? What's the goal? Who could we get these new proposed rules to share with the businesses in Anthem, let them know that things have changed?
So in draft form right now, we haven't sent them out to anyone, but certainly If the board is interested, we can share it with the Chamber of Commerce. We can share it with some of the other businesses, the Business Support Committee. I know they're going to be discussing this tomorrow as well. So we are trying to get the word out so that people are aware. I think it is important for businesses to be aware that there are overlapping guidelines there as well. Like, I can't do anything about A-frames in Phoenix. We can't. You have to talk to the city council for City of Phoenix. So,
Dave?
The idea is tomorrow to present this, and we have representatives from the Chamber of Commerce, and we also have representatives from Rotary.
then they can help evangelize the message and get feedback.
Any other comments or questions on this? No? I'll go ahead and say just a couple things. So this is my last meeting. You know, I'm coming off the board. I got on the board 9 years ago. And what I could tell you, and this is something to watch for in the future, is that there are people who will be pleased by this, but then there are people who will inevitably not be satisfied with this. It's the nature of the role, right? No matter what you do, there's always going to be someone who's going to be displeased with what you do. And there's always going to be somebody who's going to complain. That's the nature of what we're doing up here, right? So I would just going to reference that in the future, sometimes there are businesses that come here and everyone wants to do well. Everyone wants to be successful. But when you sign up here, you create a business, you are aware of the regulations and of the rules of what Anthem requires. And that is something as a business owner you need to know going into it. And if you're having difficulty with your business and you think that an A-frame sign or something is going to make it so that you can keep your business open, I understand. But as a business owner, much like a homeowner who comes here and doesn't like a homeowners association, but they purchased a home here, and so they have to apply by that, I feel like it's worth noting that there are always going to be noisy individuals who are going to bring concerns and things like that. And so I think it's very, very important to be a good steward and to hear them, but necessarily understand that it's not always necessary to make a knee-jerk reaction to adjust our existing policies that have been in place for decades. So I just want to throw it out there. Barb, go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate your point of view. I think some of the noisy businesses, they haven't been that noisy, but some of the people that I have talked with have talked about the inequity of other, quote, businesses being able to have their signs out there because they're out there on weekends. So I think we're trying more to make it equal for all types of businesses and giving more of a framework. So it may look like somebody chose a bad spot and they want to get their sign out there, but in fact, other signs are out there because they're out there on the weekend. They're not being monitored. So I think there's a portion of that. And I also don't think we really did a knee-jerk. My gosh, we've been talking about this for 6 or 7 months. So, but I do appreciate your point of view, and I think that we shouldn't knee-jerk. But I think that this is clarifying, and staff has and our attorneys have done a great job of exploring more than they ever knew about signs in Maricopa County and Phoenix. So thanks for that.
Thanks, Barb. Any other comments? No? Okay. With that, is there anything else? Oh, okay.
Just to clarify that this will
Dave.
come to a vote at the next meeting.
Okay, great. That being said, we'll go ahead and move to future board agenda items. Is there anything?
We have 9B as well.
Oh, we have 9B. I'm sorry, I skipped. Just excited to get out of here. Update and restructure of the board policy manual.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This item has been on the strategic priorities for a while. We're finally bringing this forward to you. The couple of points I want to make on this one is there are no major changes to the board policy manual. This is largely focusing on incorporating past board policy manual approvals that were not yet incorporated, or updating titles or other grammatical cleanups in there. I will say, anything that was in past manuals, those will be incorporated into new operations manuals. For example, the collections policy is not in this board policy manual, but it will be in an operations manual that we will use. But until those operation manuals are approved, the existing policies will remain in place. So it's not like everyone gets a free day for collections or something like that. Those policies will continue to be used. Director Hartman did point out there's a typo in 2.1.3a, so I will go through and clean that up as well. We just have an extra word in there. So we will bring that back next month with that small correction.
Thank you. Any comments, questions from the board? Okay. This is the opportunity for discussion on this item, so we will go to a vote next month. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to future board agenda items. Is there anything that a board member would like to add to the agenda in the future?
Yes.
Yes, Mark.
So I'm going to ask Aaron to help me with the wording. I would like some more information on what I'm calling the fields, or a large park with the soccer fields, baseball fields. What have we done in the last 5 years with those fields as far as any type of improvements, and what is the plan for the next 5 years for any type of improvements on those areas? So turf, seeding, shade, what is the plan? So I'm not asking for that tonight. I'm just asking for something on the agenda that we can really dive into and get some more data on, or a point of direction on where we might be going with it. So I'll let Aaron.
Yep, nope, we can do that. We can put that together. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Some of the improvements we had talked about may be potential FMP projects in the future, and that's how we could roll some of that in, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I can get that on the agenda. I just need another board member to join you as a petitioner.
I will join. And I think some of it is, some of the current condition is dusty, and so it's more about understanding the grasses and why we move from one grass to another, and is that beneficial? Because I think a few years ago we did do that. So I think it's more about understanding.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. We can put together an agenda item discussing a number of those items. That's fine.
Great. Any other items to the agenda in the future? Oh, okay. We're going to go ahead and move to open discussion. Gay, do we have any open discussion items? Okay. Is there anything that residents in attendance would like to bring up? If you would like to, you're welcome to approach the podium and introduce yourself into the microphone. You did. Where'd that sheet go? Yeah, come on up. Oh, we've got right here. But you can approach the podium, turn that light on, and introduce yourself and tell us what you're...
The light is on.
Okay, great.
Okay, you can hear me. Most people can hear me without it anyway. So my name is Darlene Burns, and I live in the club. And about a year and a half ago, I came here with a group of other people to inform you that across the bridge, some of the new housing over there, the smaller homes, it's all rental housing, had been advertising our community park online. And I assumed that I heard when I was here that you guys were going to look into it and, take care of it. Well, recently, one of the women called me and told me that it was still being done. So I took the time to go online and look at both housing developments. And yes, they are. It's right there. It's still there. You did nothing about it. And, so I'm here tonight to ask you if this board is in any type of negotiation with various apartments, various new housing complexes, to allow them to advertise our private community park, to enhance, to entice people to go there and rent, knowing full well they can just drive across the bridge and use it any time. And if you've done this, I think you need to name the businesses, the apartments, the various communities that you are in negotiation with or have closed negotiations. And I also think that you need to tell us whether or not these builders are paying you to allow this to happen. I was also informed that you have an annexation committee. We've talked about this over the years. You know, you cannot grow the contiguous borders of a master plan community, but you can start allowing annexation. But in doing so, you have to have a percentage of the real votes of all the property owners, a percentage of that, not just a percentage of the votes received. So I'm here to ask you, why didn't you act on this? Or do you really want to allow all these other communities to annex us to start using all of the amenities that people like me have paid for 25 years for pennies on the dollar, if not free? So why didn't you do something about it?
Well, Darlene, thank you so much for coming tonight. I really appreciate you coming here and letting us know. So I'll start out with the concern you brought up of these other communities. I can tell you there is no coordination with any of those communities. And I will tell you, we don't like that. So we've had it. There's been Sendero Crossing. They advertised Anthem and being part of the community center and things like that. I don't know the procedure, what we do legally throughout our organization. I'll turn that over to Executive Director Baker for you, but I want to let you know that that is not something that we like. And then we try to prevent that often, and we can let those people know. So thank you for bringing up. So I'm gonna
Cease and desist letter.
right. So we'll turn it over to him, and I'll tell you exactly how the Anthem Community Council handles that. But then I'll get to your other point here in just a second regarding annexation. Okay.
So for folks in the past, I've reached out to them, just had a pleasant conversation with them, and they've removed the materials, and I've verified that. So if there's someone new doing that, let me know. If you have the.
I took photos of everything that.
Perfect. If you can give those to me so I know who they are, I can call them. I haven't had to get to a cease and desist letter yet. Most of them stop before that. I don't like to have to pay for a cease and desist letter because it costs us to write those. So I prefer to do it first myself, and it's always worked.
It's
So.
very easy to write that letter, trust me.
Right. I'm just saying that we usually are able to resolve it amicably. And so if you can just give me after the meeting, I'll stop by. The communities,
The same people from a year and a half ago.
then they put it back up then because anyone that I've been referenced, anyone that's been referred to me, I've spoken with them and stopped it. So.
Well, Darlene, thank you for doing that research. That helps us. So when residents of the community go out and they do that extra work, we don't have necessarily the staff who's always monitoring that stuff. So you bring it to our attention, brings it to our attention. So I really appreciate that. So addressing your annexation question. So we created a committee 2 years ago called the Anthem Growth Committee. It was 12 members of the committee. We had 2 phases of it, and we discussed what annexation would look like. We didn't say we're annexing. We said, what does that look like? What would we make policy changes to the community if that were to happen? How are we going to address the growth of Taiwan Semiconductor coming up? And if any developments we're going to ask. And we created kind of a doctrine and a checklist of things that staff or the future board would have to look at moving forward into the future to protect you and our interests in the community. So this is something that we created in that committee that is exactly what you as a resident would really want to see, that would protect your interests here in the community. Does that make sense? So we're not currently engaged with any developers or builders and then considering annexation. Some places reach out to us and they say, hey, can you annex us? And we have said no at this point to all of those. Okay. I really appreciate you, Darlene. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Okay. Any other comments from the public residents tonight? Okay. Any comments from the board?
I do.
Oh, yeah, Barb, go ahead.
I want to acknowledge your service to our group for the last, I guess, 9 years. Some of it, maybe not 9 consecutive, but we haven't always seen eye to eye, but I have appreciated your points of view. I've appreciated our dialogue. I've appreciated your friendship and getting to know you more. So thank you, and we will miss you. I will miss you.
Thank you, Barb. I appreciate it. Yeah, I guess that being said, I mean, this is my last meeting, right? And for now, we'll see if I get summoned back again at one point in time. But I'll probably be back, especially for the master plan stuff, because I got a bunch of cool stuff for Scott to do in the future. So that I'd like to present. But I appreciate you guys. And honestly, Barb, thank you. You know, that means a lot. And I same likewise, you know, with all of our discussions, everything like that. And I've been on the board for 6 years. I started 9 years ago. And the irony is I'm 43 years old. And I've been on this board. I started almost, 9 years ago, like a quarter of my life. So in that time, I've gained a significant amount of information and knowledge in this, and I really like it, and I'm passionate about it. But the biggest thing that I think that's really made this such a special experience is how great of an organization the Anthem Community Council is, and working with all you guys, everybody here. Our legal counsel is fantastic. CHDB, no longer Carpenter Hazelwood, they've rebranded. Just found that out tonight. But no, really, and other board members and getting to know everybody and throughout the years and stuff like that. So I really appreciate it. I've had a lot of fun doing it, and you guys keep up the great work. I would say just my parting thing in this is I would love to see in the future that we really improve the attraction of being on the council. I think it's imperative to make the elections here competitive. And not just see appointed people or a single voter or a single runner candidate that runs, that it is something that's sought out. Here, strangely enough, we get a ton of people who run for homeowners association boards, which in my opinion is way less fun than this. But they get a lot of people. I think there's maybe a confusion as to what we do here, right? And so in the future, I'd love to just make that a priority and really just like turn that up and to make sure that this is something that's very prestigious and highly revered as something to be involved in. And because I think it is. I think it pays dividends personally for people. So would love to see that in the future. But other than that, I really appreciate you all. And so thank you for your time. And it's been great. So thank you. With that being said, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
All right, Vice Chair Curl moves we adjourn. Do we have a second? Oh, Director Barbie seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Good evening, everyone. Thank you.